I always knew this day would come. Sitting in the formal dining room of my parents' Seattle home, the rain tapping faintly against the bay windows, I could practically predict every word before it left my father's mouth. The emergency family dinner had been scheduled right after my younger brother Ethan's big announcement, lead architect at Whitman & Gray by 30. Mom had orchestrated everything down to the polished silverware. The table glowed under pendant lighting, and everyone was seated with silent expectations. Dad stood at the head, still clinging to his retired Amazon executive posture. Mom sat to his right, adjusting her pearl earrings, her face tight with worry. Ethan sat beside her, beaming in his charcoal blazer. Aunt Teresa, my father's older sister and a prominent surgeon, faced me from across the table, arms folded, already frowning. "Vanessa," Dad said. "Never Ness, not here. We've gathered everyone because we're concerned." He looked around like he needed backup. I smoothed my navy cardigan and kept my expression unreadable. No luxury logos, no makeup, no visible signs of success. That was intentional. "Ethan's work is being featured in Architectural Digest," he continued. "And you, well, you left Stanford Law," Aunt Teresa said flatly. "To launch an education app?" "To co-found an ed tech company," I corrected, tone even. "You were on track for a clerkship with a federal judge," Mom said, exasperated. "And now, your startup barely makes the news," Dad added. I leaned back. "Funny, it just got acquired for $42 million 0 cents last quarter. I wanted to tell you tonight." The silence cracked like glass. Ethan blinked. Aunt Teresa's frown faltered. And Dad finally sat down. Hard. "Still think I need saving?" I asked, smiling just enough. "Someone had to do something," Aunt Teresa said, her voice defensive. "You've been working out of that tiny office on Pine Street, driving that old Corolla, living in that starter condo," Mom added, eyes soft with concern. "We just want you to have the life you deserve." I checked my phone discreetly. 6:58 p.m. 2 minutes until the Wall Street Journal article dropped, right on cue. Dad leaned forward, voice rising. "Your brother's a partner with equity. Do you even understand what that means, Vanessa? Real money, real status. And you? Still playing with code. What do you even have to show for it?" I tilted my head slightly. "Would you like me to explain?" "Please," Mom said quickly. "We've been trying to understand." "Actually," I replied, "I think the Wall Street Journal will explain it better." Right then, Mom's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and froze. Her hand trembled. "Clara?" Dad asked. "What is it?" She slowly turned her phone around. A bold headline stared back at them. "The Seattle startup becomes AI security unicorn with $4 billion, 0 cents valuation. Vanessa Tran, 31, founder and CEO of Signatech." My company's logo glowed beneath the text, and my face, smiling professionally, captioned with a title none of them ever imagined. Uncle Robert snatched the phone. This must be a joke." "No joke," I said calmly, "though it's a bit outdated. After this morning's acquisition deal, we're closer to $6 billion. Ethan choked on his water. Mom's phone lit up again, buzzing nonstop as alerts and headlines exploded across every financial feed. "That little office? I own the building. That condo? It's the top-floor penthouse at the Morrison. That car? A choice, because real success doesn't beg to be seen." I turned to Dad, meeting his stunned gaze. "You never asked. You were too busy being disappointed." Uncle Robert was still scrawling, his hand trembling slightly. "The board, the investors, includes 3 Fortune 500 CEOs," I offered casually, "and the largest tech venture fund in the world. We stayed under the radar for security reasons while refining the AI." The journal article was thorough, exactly as we'd planned. Signatech's quantum-grade AI security platform rendered traditional encryption nearly useless. Banks, defense agencies, and global enterprises were already lining up. And I owned 51%. Dad looked like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. "Why didn't you tell us?" I stood and buttoned my navy blazer. Because sometimes silence is your greatest leverage. I picked up my bag. I have a Bloomberg interview in under an hour. They're running a segment on transformative tech founders. As I reached the hallway, Mom's voice cracked. Vanessa, wait. Please. I turned, pausing just long enough to say, and Ethan, congratulations again. 7 figures is great. Let me know when you want to talk real wealth. Her mouth opened, but no words came. Ethan's jaw clenched, and Uncle Robert just kept staring, as if the numbers might change if he blinked. Outside, a black Lincoln waited. My phone buzzed. A message from Marcus, my COO. Of 30% pre-market, momentum's insane, Asia's lighting up. You ready to change the world? Always, I typed back. Inside the studio, the lights blazed as the Bloomberg broadcast went live. Michael Jensen leaned in. Vanessa Tran, the billionaire founder no one saw coming. How did you stay hidden? I smiled, knowing my family was watching. Because success doesn't need applause, just vision. During the break, messages flooded in. Dad, Vanessa, we should talk. Mom, every board wants to reach you. Ethan, called me. Uncle Robert, my committee has questions. I silenced them all. Marcus had just texted again. Goldman Sachs is on the line. They want to schedule a meeting. Marcus smirked. I smiled, thinking of my old corner office at Goldman, the one I'd left behind 3 years ago. The same Goldman Sachs that had passed on our Series A. We're back in 30, the producer called out. As the cameras blinked back on, Michael Jensen leaned in. Vanessa, your AI-driven quantum encryption is being called revolutionary, industry-altering. How does it feel to disrupt the global cybersecurity landscape? It feels like validation, I said, thinking of all the holidays where my work was brushed aside as a phase. But this is just the beginning. After the interview, I checked my phone. 147 missed calls. Headlines spread like wildfire. Stealth CEO shakes up tech. Vanessa Tran, the billionaire nobody saw coming. Cosmetech redefines security with quantum leap. When I arrived at HQ, Sarah met me at the private elevator. Your brother's been in the lobby for 2 hours. Of course he has. I opened the security feed. Ethan sat in his perfectly tailored blazer, scrolling nervously. His aura of certainty was unraveling by the minute. Let him wait. My office spanned the top floor-to-ceiling windows facing downtown. The same skyline where Whitman and Gray's offices sat, just blocks away. Word for 2 p.m., Sarah said. And the New York Times wants your origin story. Push the Times to next week, I replied, settling into my chair. Let Goldman sweat a little. A knock at the door. Marcus entered, holding a tablet. You'll want to see this. It was a LinkedIn post from Ethan. So proud of my sister, Vanessa Tran, CEO of Signatech. Knew she'd change the world. Proud sibling, women in tech, family first. I chuckled. Funny. Last week he told our cousins I was wasting my life. And Uncle Robert's firm just issued a statement claiming they backed you early. I opened our investor dashboard, clicked Publish Series B report. Let's show the world who actually believed in us. If Vanessa's quiet rise stunned you, just wait. What happens when power shifts and the family comes knocking? Don't miss what's next. Subscribe now and follow her journey to the top. The investor list glowed on my screen. 3 of the world's top VC firms, 2 tech giants, and a curated group of strategic backers. Notably absent, my Uncle Robert's prestigious investment firm. Marcus leaned in. Also, Whitman and Gray's managing partner called. They want to pitch for our legal business. I arched a brow. Let me guess, Ethan's their suggested lead? Said he could offer the family rate. I laughed under my breath. Book meetings with their top 3 rivals instead. Let's see how it feels when that corner office comes with a lost client memo. Just then, Sarah stepped into the office. Your brother's still in the lobby, and your parents just arrived. I glanced at the security feed. Mom stood clutching her designer tote like it might shield her. Dad, stiff in his navy banker's suit, looked visibly out of place amid the sleek glass and steel. Marcus lowered his voice. Your call. But the press might notice if the CEO's family isn't allowed upstairs. He was right. Optics mattered now. Send them up, I said, then turned to Sarah. Also, bring me our Goldman Sachs rejection letter from the Series A round, and the trust fund freeze from Uncle Robert. Marcus blinked. You planning something? Just preparing the facts, I replied, adjusting my blazer. Success is best served with documentation. The elevator chimed. Olivia stepped out first, her heels clicking too loudly. Mom and Dad followed, eyes wide at the sweeping skyline view. Vanessa, Mom began softly, why don't you tell us? Tell you what? I said evenly. That Signatech hit a $6 billion 0 cents valuation? That I bought the Morrison Tower last year? Olivia blinked. You? You own our firm's building? And half the block, I smiled. Being your landlord is just a side project. Dad stepped forward. Sweetheart, we were wrong. You were silent, I said, holding up the trust fund freeze letter. Until now, or like when Uncle Robert decided I needed to learn responsibility, I said, holding up the letter again. Mom sank into the nearest chair. You thought you knew better. I walked slowly to the window. You thought success only came in one shape. Corner offices, tailored suits, and Ivy League titles. I turned to face them. Want to see what real success looks like? I pressed a button on my desk. The frosted glass behind me faded to clear, revealing the vast innovation floor below. Rows of engineers, developers, and research scientists immersed in their work. Fifth, I said, is what $6 billion 0 cents looks like. 200 brilliant people building the future of cybersecurity. And not one of them cares what I drive or where I live. They care about vision. Olivia cleared her throat. The firm's partners asked me to share our legal services. I already booked 3 meetings with your competitors, I said smoothly. She flinched. That could affect my Your partnership bonuses? Likely. I smiled faintly. But I'm sure you'll land on your feet. We're family, she said quickly. Family? I lifted the Goldman rejection. Family asks, family believes before the headlines. Dad took a tentative step forward. We can start over. I tilted my head. Fix what? My thriving company? My controlling interest? Or the fact that your disappointment now has more net worth than all of you combined? The silence was perfect. I checked my watch. Goldman Sachs will be here in 20. Funny how rejection turns into respect. Vanessa, please, Mom whispered. Join us for dinner. Let us try. I looked at them, really looked. The shine in their image was fading. I have a better idea, I said. I'll be keynoting the World Tech Summit next week. You can watch from the audience. They understood. As they left, Marcus reappeared. Stocks still climbing. Tech leaders want meetings. Press is nonstop. I smiled. Let them wait. Ready for the Goldman pitch? Marcus asked, a glint in his eye. I smiled, remembering my old boss scoffing when I gave notice. Oh, I'm ready, I said. Let's show them what they passed on. Because success wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about proving me right. And I was just getting started. The main stage at the World Tech Summit was even more electrifying than I'd imagined during those long nights coding alone. Towering screens pulsed with Signatech's logo. 5,000 attendees filled the grand hall. Every major tech outlet had front row access. From backstage, I spotted my family taking their seats, 4th row center. Mom in her signature Chanel. Dad, sharp in his tailored power suit. Olivia looked tense, her usual courtroom armor stripped by the unfamiliar. Even Uncle Robert had managed to find a seat, despite not being invited. 2 minutes, Miss Tran, the stage manager said. I adjusted my blazer over a sleek black dress. Hair pulled back, no flashy accessories. Not the kind of success they had once praised, but exactly what a billion-dollar founder looked like. My phone buzzed. Marcus again. Stock just hit $450, 0 cents. That's 180% up since the WSJ story. Ready to shock the room? I smiled. They had no idea. The announcer's voice echoed. Please welcome the founder and CEO of Sagnatech, Vanessa Tran. Applause thundered. I stepped onto the stage with calm authority. The screens behind me flickered to life. 3 years ago, I began, I left a prestigious finance career to chase what my family called just a dream. Today, that dream is worth $8 billion. Dad flinched. But this isn't just about money. It's about vision. Where others saw encryption as a wall, we saw a doorway. A quantum doorway. And this morning, I added, we were awarded a $12 billion 0 cents federal contract. The crowd erupted. In row 4, Mom clutched Dad's arm. Olivia's jaw dropped. And, I continued with a calm smile, we've acquired Morrison Digital Securities. Her head snapped toward me, her firm's largest client gone in a single breath. But perhaps more significantly, I paused, letting the moment settle. We've launched the Tran Innovation Foundation, a $500 million, 0 cents, endowment to back young entrepreneurs who, like me, were told their vision wasn't practical. The screens behind me shifted to reveal our first initiative, full scholarships for women in tech, especially those dismissed or underestimated. As I laid out Signatech's global expansion plans, I watched their faces. Dad wore a smile. Too proud, too late. Mom wiped a tear, finally understanding what she had ignored. Olivia furiously texted, likely her firm's crisis team. After the keynote, the media closed in. Ms. Tran, how does it feel to be called the next Steve Jobs? Is it true you're the youngest self-made billionaire in tech? Can you comment on the Goldman Sachs merger rumors? I answered each one smoothly. Meanwhile, my family hovered at the edges of the crowd, uninvited to the spotlight they once denied me. Back in my office hours later, Sarah placed the evening headlines on my desk. Vanessa Tran redefines tech power. Quantum Solutions seals $12, 0 cents B federal deal. They're still here, Sarah added. Tried security again. I nodded. Send them up. They entered, not like titans of industry, but like children who'd just realized they were no longer in control. That was, Dad began. Revolutionary? I offered. World-changing? Or just me playing with computers? Mom stepped forward softly. We were wrong, Vanessa. Yes, I replied. You were. Olivia nodded at the screen. The foundation. It's incredible. It's necessary, I said. So other women don't grow up believing no is the only answer. Uncle Robert cleared his throat. About your trust. It's still frozen, I cut in, and I'm thriving without it. Dad tried again. We want to be part of this, part of your success. I turned to face them fully. My success happened without you. Happened despite you. The time to join was 3 years ago, when I needed your support. Olivia's voice was quiet. Then why let us come today? Because success isn't about revenge, I said softly. It's about growth. You needed to see that the daughter you dismissed changed the world. The sister you pitied owns your firm's building. The niece you tried to control built an empire. I pressed a button. The frosted glass shifted to clear, revealing our bustling operations. Hundreds of employees, millions in equipment, the future unfolding in real time. This is what believing in yourself looks like. This is what happens when you refuse to let others define your worth. Mom wiped tears from her face. Please, give us a chance to make it right. I smiled. You already did. Your doubt made me stronger. Your dismissal made me determined. Your lack of faith made me unstoppable. Dad finally spoke. I glanced at my phone as another alert popped up. Now I have a company to run, an industry to revolutionize, and a generation of entrepreneurs to support. You're welcome to watch from whatever distance you've earned. They left quietly, finally understanding the power had shifted. Later that night, Marcus entered with the market close report. Stock hit $500, 0 cents. Market cap over $10 billion, 0 cents. Then to the board, I said, and schedule Goldman Sachs. He warned, they'll try to buy you. I smiled. Let them try. True success isn't who's at the finish line, it's who believed at the start. My phone buzzed again. I ignored it because my story was just beginning. If Vanessa's journey has inspired you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What advice would you give someone fighting to prove their worth? Drop a comment and share your story. Remember, success starts with believing in yourself even when no one else does. Let's uplift each other and keep pushing forward.